Hey guys, it's your girl Kizzy Rock, and yes, Kizzy Rock is my birth given name. Happy Monday morning, guys. I want to say hey to all my subscribers, new as well this season. I got a word for you. Tap in. Happy Monday, guys. I'm going to jump right in. I want to start, guys, by reading this email from a young lady, and then I'm going to jump in and talk about a few things. But why is it so difficult to be chosen is what she wants to know. And I quote, "Hey Kizzy, I'm so excited to finally email you. I'm an introvert and I'm very, very, very shy. However, I mustered up the strength to write this email. I want to let you know that I listened to all of your recordings. Again, I'm very shy, so I never comment. I just want to say that I never even knew being so different and being very unique, as you would call it, is a great thing. Through you, I've learned that I am truly a chosen one and called to break generational curses. I thank you so much. However, can you please help me to understand why is it so difficult? Because I'm just starting this journey and I'm already ready to give up. It is extremely difficult, but I've heard from God and I want to stick it out and break generational curses. Thank you so much for all of your recordings and all that you do. I love your big personality. You are truly funny." First of all, thank you so much, sis. Thank you for trusting my opinion, right? Because I'm honest enough to always say anything I say is my opinion. There's no facts about anything. I'm just speaking about my own life experiences. And most times, just truly the Holy Spirit just guiding my words and leading me, hopefully to reach, if it's just one person. So emails like this or comments like this, it just means the world. It's so fulfilling because as a chosen one, as you already know, like gratitude is most of our love languages, right? We just want people to get us, or the people who should get us, I should say. So thank you. And I'm so crazy. I think people think that I'm like this walking around serious person all the time, but I'm making recordings on YouTube, right? And I am, serious in life for the most part, but I am a free spirit. I love life. I love laughing. I'm truly, truly, truly a clown. So thank you for seeing that side of me, because some people really think that I'm walking around in serious mode 24 hours a day. And I'm telling you, I'm the craziest person. All right, so let's start. Why is chosen so difficult? Well, again, this is all my opinion, but I also want to say this again. If being chosen, right? That's a word that you can just get in where you fit in. I always say that because I don't want anybody to ever feel like, they're not chosen if I don't say one thing that's leading more towards their. Listen, if you're chosen, you will know. A person doesn't have to tell you that, or a person can't tell you that you're not. You will know. Trust me, you will know, because you just don't fit in, right? God have you set apart for a mission, whatever that mission may be, right? You're just chosen. You're chosen to complete His will, His assignment, His mission for His will, right? So get in where you fit in, because some people think like they're not chosen and all this other stuff. I don't know. But here's the thing. If you're chosen, you're going against the odds. So you're going against the grain. So there's a lot of resistance, right? There's a lot of pressure, because Satan doesn't want you to accomplish the will of God. I mean, he doesn't. So he's going to attack you in every single way. His whole assignment is to get you to give up when that pressure gets so intense. And truth of the matter is, when that pressure gets intense for whatever way that is coming, and it will get very intense, that's when you press in even harder. And I know that's easier said than done. Trust me when I tell you, right? But you have to press in during that time versus giving up. If you start to see yourself wanting to give up, that's telling you something right there. You're on to something. Satan will not be putting that kind of pressure on you and applying that kind of pressure if you're not on to something. So walking this path is extremely, extremely difficult. And this is coming from someone who has that A type of personality, that drive, right? So individuals who are very, very timid, shy, meek, you know, Satan's going to really, really, really be after you as well. So be very mindful that when that pressure is on you to give up and to quit, that is the time right there that you want to press in even harder. Because eventually, you know, when he realizes that you're not going to quit, he'll leave you alone. He'll go mess with somebody down the street. He'll leave you alone, and then you'll be glad that you didn't give up, because that pressing through will then introduce you to new levels, right? It will then introduce you to a side that you didn't even know that you had, right? You're gonna be like, oh, wait a minute, I didn't know I was this strong. And then of course the cycle continues, right? You'll live a life of peace. All of a sudden, boom, another attack, but you just keep pressing through. Now, in a separate email, I don't know if you forgot to add that into the first. You were saying that one of the areas that you know that you're chosen in is marriage, in that no one in your family has ever had, or you've never been exposed to a happy marriage. As well as you had some childhood trauma. All right, speaking of that, childhood trauma. Okay, ding, 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 ding. You were a target early on. Why are you a target early on? It's because the earliest Satan can really get in there and start screwing some things up and exposing you to trauma, right? Then it's almost like he hopes that you will not even have a chance, because most people don't heal from trauma, right? Not, well, I'm gonna say most, but a lot of people don't heal from trauma. And then before you know it, a lot of people may either turn the route of drugs, addictions, whatever kinds, foods, cigarettes, whatever. So he's in hope that if he can target you, and then, you know, you don't heal, or you don't have an encounter with God that boom changes your life, he hopes that you will spiral out of control and you will just live your life in, you know, survivor mode and just kind of floating around, versus really tapping into and getting in alignment with the will that God has for your life. So he targets you early on, but thank God, because God and grace, honey, always kept you covered. Well, now he's exposing you and calling you to marriage, where you said you've never had a desire. I think you said you're 38. You've never had a desire, and you've never been exposed to happy marriages. So you interpret marriages of just chaotic and just unhealthy and all that other stuff. Well, sis, truth of the matter is that's a lot of people now. So don't feel like the oddball out. A lot of people have not been exposed to healthy marriages, because there's not a whole lot of healthy marriages. I mean, there are plenty of them, but speaking in the sense of what most people are exposed to on a daily basis, most people see marriages as just a contract of having, you know, financial gains and all that stuff like that. As well, we have children together. Even though we don't love each other, we're just going to stick this thing out because it's cheaper to keep her. And now they're fighting, they're acting a fool. Now all the children are miserable. The children are now associating marriage with just drama and foolishness. And it's like, well, when I get out this house, I'm never going to get married, because is this what marriage is about, right? So, and the truth of the matter is, happy marriages exist. Wholesome marriages exist. Doesn't mean it's easy. No, because Satan doesn't even like marriages. So what does God do? If he's calling you to that, what do he do? He expose you. He give you a glimpse of something you never even realized existed. So growing up, you've never seen it. And then all of a sudden you have this coworker who's always talking about her husband or their wife and this, and you start to see certain YouTube individuals, like, because you said you find me through Pastor Blake. So look at Pastor Blake's and Mrs. Lisa. Like, so God is exposing you and showing you what happy, wholesome, not perfect, but happy, wholesome marriages are, and that they do exist, and that there's a lot of fruit that comes with it. So you're chosen. No one else in the family has ever done it. You're chosen. So God tapped you on the shoulder. Tap, tap, tap. And now he set you apart. So what usually happens with that? Isolation season. Because if you're only used to all that trauma and drama within your family, right? Okay, God have not exposed you to it. But if you're still just used to being around this type of toxic dynamic, I mean, he has to set you apart. Setting you apart is about getting your attention so he can give you downloads about what it is he wants to do, show you that those ways that you've experienced was not the right way, right? I need to really get in here and really help you to understand that this set apart, this isolation is not punishment. Instead, I just need to isolate you so I can tell you what it is I want for your life. I need you to be an example for the next generation. You didn't see it coming up, but if you do it the right way, even if you have to be 75 when you get married, right? The next generation will have something to recognize, like, wow, everybody else in the family is crazy. Everybody else in the family hate their spouse. But I remember this one person. She was my cousin, or she was my aunt, or she was my such and such. She didn't get married until she was 75. But it was peaceful. It was beautiful. They were 75, but they traveled the world. They were cruising together. They were like that high school love at 75. Wow. So many times, sometimes when you're called to break generational curses, sometimes it's not even always about you. Right? Sometimes you may have that struggle until you meet Jesus, right? Who knows? But you may have that struggle because you're the one that's called to start that process. But maybe the next generation, they won't even have to go through everything you've been through because you set the example. You gave them the blueprint where it now will become easier for them versus them having to go through what you went through by having to unlearn everything that you were taught. So you were a target in childhood. Then, of course, what happens? You go and you get your first boyfriend, your first husband, just speaking in general now. And normally you choose wrong the first time because most time you don't even ask God the first time if this is the person for you, right? We're just all living our own life, not even thinking about God, not thinking about this, that. You chose the wrong person. And now all that stuff that you saw in childhood from your own parents' marriage, what happens? Take it into the first marriage. You don't know any better, right? It's just learned behavior, conditioning. You take it into the marriage. Now you crazy, your husband crazy. Everybody crazy. And if kids are in the house, you're traumatizing your kids because nobody knows any better. You only know what you saw. He only know what he saw if he came from a toxic upbringing. If he came from a healthy home, there's still drama because he's healthy and understands the importance of family, boundaries, structure, all that stuff. You're crazy. Now there's tension. Boom. So if it didn't work out, again, you go in isolation season. God heal you, etc., etc. So now when God sends the person, you say you're called, you know you're called to marriage. So when God does send your person, think Satan ain't going to attack that. You think Satan ain't going to attack that. Mind you, you're still in the process of setting the blueprint for the next generation. He doesn't want that. You already know Satan attacking marriages in general. So he's really going to attack you. So if God never set you apart in the isolation season and transformation season, you wouldn't even be able to go into that marriage that God has designed for you without the proper spiritual guidance. Now you know how to fight, right, in the spirit. Now you know about warfare and how to really, So now that God has set you apart, transform you, giving you power, etc., etc. Now that when he does bring your kingdom partner, purpose partner, whatever you deem the term to be, now you know in advance you're going to be attacked, right? You're going to be attacked at certain times, but now you know how to fight in the spirit versus fight in the flesh. So if you will never transform, isolated and transform, and God sent you your quote unquote kingdom spouse, how in the world you coming from a traumatic childhood of seeing toxic parents fighting and just your mother emasculating your father, and all this other nonsense, right? Again, sometimes it's just generational. Your parents may have been exposed to that from your grandparents, and then your grandparents from your great grandparents, right? Just toxic marriages, and back in those days, sometimes they married just because they didn't have a choice. I mean, I sure can't work, or I don't have no leverage to, so I have to sit here and depend on this man for everything. And I don't even love him, but he pays the bills. So that stuff is, generations and generations and generations. But God says you're going to do it different. But if God had exposed you to your kingdom purpose partner, you were toxic, right? There's a good chance your purpose partner is whole, right? Because maybe God have already transformed them, or maybe they came from great, because everybody didn't come from trauma, right? So maybe they came from a great upbringing. But before transformation, God brings you guys together. It's not going to last. First of all, you've already developed a system of protecting yourself, right? You've been exposed to trauma, fight or flight, survivor mode. So you've already developed this system within yourself. Like, I'm never going to trust anybody because I saw my daddy left my mama, right? I'm never going to trust anybody because I saw, they're fighting like some Mike Tyson and, Evander Holyfield. I'm not going to trust anybody. So you got all these thoughts in your mind, not to mention maybe your first heartbreak in middle school, high school, right? That sets the tone right there as well. That first heartbreak. So now you're thinking you're not good enough. I'm not. So all this stuff that has now become a system, and it was never addressed and healed. Now this man, pure man, all caps man, comes in loving you properly. Honey, you're feeling raw, right? You're feeling raw. You want to run because you're used to trauma, and he's just too quiet. He's boring. Why is he boring? Because you're used to foolishness. You're used to arguing. You're used to fighting. You're used to that's your default setting. So if God doesn't transform you, it's not going to last. Either you're going to leave because it's just like, wait a minute, this is a little scary here. This is too raw. He's tapping into my emotion. Like, he's seeing the things I don't want him to see. Or you're going to drive him insane because you're traumatized, you're going to accuse him and all kind of foolishness. And this man could be working and you're calling him about, he didn't answer the phone while he's working. So, as a chosen one, again, many times you have to be transformed before God starts to give you everything for you. But you're going to be challenged. Another example, let's say you're the first one no one emailed me about this. I'm just throwing this out there for someone who may not feel like they're called to marriage, or they don't feel like that's what their issue is. You were the first one in your family to go to college or even graduate high school, whatever. Listen, if that's the lane that God is requiring you to set that blueprint for the next generation, it might take you 19 years to graduate college. But guess what? You stick those 19 years out. Why 19 years? Well, again, Satan does not want you to break generational cycles, curses. He doesn't want you to set the blueprint for the ones coming behind you. So it's going to be hard. There might be years that you have to sit out because maybe you have children, something may have happened, like you may just be so disconnected, like you may need the teacher to repeat one thing 35,000 times because you just can't get it. Satan is going to literally attack you because he does not want, but you're going to have to press in. You're going to have that mindset. I don't care if it takes 27 years. If I got to go to tutoring every weekend, right? If I got to go to class 3 hours early just to see if I can try to meet somebody to help me, you got to have that mindset because Satan's not going to let up off of you. So you have to be gruff in that mindset. There's no way around it. You have to literally bust Satan upside his head because he's not going to leave you alone. So my whole thing is I always tell people to change their perspective, if you will, because being chosen is a very difficult path. It can be a very, very lonely path because most time you're misunderstood. Remember, God will expose you to things that is the complete opposite of what maybe your family and your friends are used to seeing, right? You're different. You're unique. But unique is a beautiful thing, right? So many people see that take that word unique as something bad, and maybe because they were maybe called like maybe the black sheep or some other crazy words in school or whatever. But being unique is a beautiful thing. So versus seeing it as, oh, I'm unique, I'm chosen, I'm weird, I'm this, no, I'm special. I'm special. Yeah, they don't get me. Yeah, I'm different. Yeah, I may have to walk alone in many seasons, but I'm special. God chose me. He chose me to expose me to things that may have happened in generations and generations and generations before me. He showed me these things. He chose me. Now, he didn't tell me the hell I would have to go through. He ain't gonna tell you, right? Because most people be like, I'm out. God don't show us. Listen, let's say it. God don't show us a lot of the things because he already know. Like if God would think back on your life, think back on some of the things you've been through so far in this process. If God had shown you some of the people you would lose and you would have to leave, or they will leave you, or some of your ways and your wills and all that stuff you would have been like, I'm out. Find somebody else. I'm out. So he don't show us that stuff. But the point of the matter is, he chose you. And not to say he didn't choose others, right? Because I'm sure there can be several people or a couple of people in the family to break cycles. Does everybody answer the call is a question. Does everybody answer? Because some people feel like, oh, well, who you think you are using? Listen, I'm sure he tapped you too. If you would answer, he probably wouldn't have tapped me. But because you didn't answer, great granny, because you didn't answer, I got the tap. And because he know I'm the crazy one, right? He know I'm the one who's going to listen. I don't take no for an answer. So, here you have it. Here you have it, my friend. So again, don't see being chosen or different or set apart as, I'm sure you're lonely. It's a lonely walk, especially in between levels, because each level requires a new you, right? Each level, he can only expose you to so much at a time. So you're pretty much newer in your walk. But right now, he just have you in isolation to give you some downloads, right? And then next you're going to start having to be pruned from certain things, from certain people. And then you might be on roller coasters and Disneyland of happiness, and you're thinking like, oh yes, I've made it. And he's going to allow you to enjoy your time and just have some good, peaceful, fun time. And then boom, okay, I'm ready for you to go to the next level. That requires isolation again. So it's I think I heard Pastor Blake say that one time. It's not lonely at the top, it's lonely between levels, because each level requires something different. And you can't get that different with distractions. You got to be isolated. You got to be okay with being alone at certain times. A lot of people have a hard time being alone. And many times it's because you don't want to sit with your own thoughts, your own memories, your own traumas. Because see, when you're sitting alone and God snatches all your distractions, you're faced to deal with you. Where when there's distractions versus sitting in, why are you traumatized here? What is causing you to run here? Why are you feeling so raw here? Why are you so defensive here? Why are you so angry here? Right? So when you're sitting by yourself, why are you so unforgiving here? He's going to expose these things to you. But if you're not isolated, and if he haven't snatched the things and the people, because see, you can still be isolated and have distractions, right? So even if you're isolated, that just means you're forced to sit still. But your phone can still be ringing. You can still be going out acting a fool. No. You're going to sit here, and I'm going to snatch people. Nobody's going to answer their phone. I'm going to snatch people, because I'm going to cause a strike right quick, because I need you to not have anybody to call except me. Then he will show you. This is why you're always super busy, right? Because, you can be busy and getting things done, like really getting things done. And then you can just be busy just to be busy. You're busy because versus you sitting in your own trauma, you rather take your time and go in invested in other people's lives, and half the time these people, they're not even asking you, but you're just doing it because you don't want to sit in your own thoughts. So if I go over here and try to help this person, if I go over here and keep everybody else's child, if I go over here and work 4 jobs, I get to pay my kids child support, I get to do this, because then I don't have to sit into my own traumas. So like I always say, when God is really, 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 really ready for you to get in alignment, he don't care about your emotions. He don't care about how much you cry and your feelings are hurt. He's snatching the rug. And you will be forced sometimes to sit in that thing. And then you will really learn and discover your true self. You will see things that you never saw. But all that has to be done in order for him, because you're really unlearning a lot of the things that you were taught, right? So you're unlearning things, so you're healing, and then he's going to transform you, which then you become the person you will always meant to be prior to the trauma. It doesn't mean you're perfect. You're still crazy. You're not perfect. Everybody got a little crazy in them, right? And then you will start to attract the things that are meant for you. You will then start to walk within your purpose, your calling, your will, which is still difficult because remember, you're still going to be attacked from all areas because Satan does not want you to leave the blueprint. I hope that helps. You guys have a great one. It's your girl, Kizzy Rock.